Welcome to episode 9 of Episode George. I'm George. Everything I say is my opinion. On the screen now is Labour Party politician Natasha Fyles' passport. This passport proves that I have access to internal Labour Party documents, including those of the former Chief Minister. On the screen now is the first part of Natasha Fyles' resume, which I will read out in the future to show that anybody can be the Chief Minister, no matter how childish their resume is. Since I've read Natasha Fyles' resume and read the internal communication of many high-profile people, I can say with absolute confidence that even the most unqualified or even deranged person can be a famous politician in the Labour Party. After I read out the resume, I will move towards more serious documents and possibly some photographs as well. The photographs involve sex and children. As a demonstration, on the screen now is a portion of a Labour Party spreadsheet from one of the older elections showing political donations. The reason I showed a portion of an older spreadsheet is because it is actually the old Labour Party politicians aged 60 years and above, who sit on a committee and make decisions for the young Labour Party Chief Minister. By showing the older spreadsheet, I'm essentially making a public announcement to certain old Labour Party politicians that I have their political secrets, I have their private emails, and I have their intimate photographs. Based on the information that I have, I can say with absolute certainty that elected Labour Party politicians routinely give instructions to their staff and to each other, saying to corrupt or distort elections in a way contrary to the Electoral Act NT 2004 and the Commonwealth Electoral Act 1918. To be clear, the photographs of sex and children and the particular instructions that I mentioned do not involve Natasha Fyles specifically. As I make this video, I'm in an election for the division of Nightcliff, Northern Territory. Natasha Fyles is my opponent in the election. I have entered the election to show Natasha Fyles, or rather the people who control her, that I have her information, and to announce that Natasha Fyles was the Attorney General and Minister for Justice when I disputed an election in the Supreme Court of the Northern Territory. After the lawsuit, I emailed Natasha Fyles to tell her that the judge on the screen now, whose name is Stephen Southwood, falsified evidence in the court judgment. I also told her that the Electoral Commissioner on the screen now, whose name is Ian Loganathan, corrupted an election. Natasha Fyles declined to meet with me. Recently, I've made several video presentations to explain what happened. If you are inclined to see how a Supreme Court judge falsified evidence, please visit episodegeorge.com and watch the video presentation entitled Episode 7. Alternatively, if you are inclined to see how an electoral commissioner falsified an election report, please see the video presentation entitled Episode 8. Lastly, if you want to see how the rigged election benefited Labour Party Chief Minister Eva Lawler directly, please watch the video presentation entitled Episode 6. For reference, all of these video presentations refer to a Supreme Court case with citation Mamozellos v. Vatskalis and others 2018 NTSC 57. I'm going to finish this video presentation by showing two things that I consider to be one. As a political insider, I know that the elections in the Northern Territory are completely rigged. The Electoral Commission gives unfair advantage to the Labour Party, which is something I can prove with documentation. Also, as a political insider, I know that the Labour Party operates like a criminal cartel. To illustrate, one of the ways the Labour Party functions is that any person can get a government contract in exchange for a cash payment to an overseas bank account. Similarly, practically any person can get a job promotion or even a permanent job position using sexual favors. I can confirm the cartel behavior is normal in the Labour Party, with at least one very high-ranking Labour Party person routinely trapping or manipulating people by paying for prostitutes and illegal drugs to be delivered to them. That particular person is a practicing paedophile who is connected to the taxi industry because taxis are commonly used to deliver drugs to drug dealers and deliver underage prostitutes to paedophiles. Categorically, those children are rape victims and not prostitutes. About 6 years ago, that particular person was blackmailed while working on the 5th floor of Parliament House and was going to be murdered until someone talked the would-be murderer out of it. Other high-ranking people in the Labour Party are responsible for sending public servants or council workers to countries like China, where they agree to deals with communist entities followed by being filmed having sex with prostitutes who are often under the age of 14 years. Afterwards, when they return to the Northern Territory, those people are blackmailed. Since the Northern Territory government is basically a sewer or a brothel full of degenerate people, on the screen now is the Wikipedia entry for a historical event called the Darwin Rebellion. The Darwin Rebellion is sometimes compared to the Eureka Stockade because it is one of the only successful rebellions in Australian history and had features similar to a revolution. Despite that, it was generally peaceful. The Darwin Rebellion happened about 100 years ago in Darwin, Northern Territory, where I am. At the time, the government of the day was behaving abusively towards the people, which led to a general strike against government. During the strike, the Darwin rebels made an effigy of the head of the government whose name was John Gilruth. Then they marched on Mr. Gilruth's residence at Government House and burned the effigy. Afterwards, Mr. Gilruth and his family fled Darwin under military protection on a Navy vessel. The final outcome of the Darwin Rebellion is that the Darwin strikers achieved the things that they wanted. Now on the screen again is former Labour Party Chief Minister Natasha Fyles' passport and resume. When I was reading the secret Labour Party material, which consisted of tens of thousands of emails and hundreds of thousands of documents and pictures, I understood that the Northern Territory government was far too corrupt to be fixed by any election or police investigation. In my opinion, the only thing that could possibly fix the problems that we have is a major event similar to the Darwin Rebellion or some other kind of calamity. The problem was, for me personally, is that there weren't enough people who understood why such a thing had to happen, or at least until more recently. On the screen now are two men whose names are John Wilson and Ricardo Bosi. I do not know either of these men, but to my understanding, John Wilson has proposed to hold a strike across Australia and has created an initiative called the National Strike Australia. On the screen now is the website for his initiative, which has the URL www.nationalstrikeaustralia.org. As I understand, John Wilson's proposal was seconded by Ricardo Bosi, who, as I understand, is the leader of a political grouping called Australia One. On the screen now is the website for Australia One. I've made the decision to promote the National Strike Australia website because, as far as I can see, the proposed strike is motivated by conditions similar to those that created the Darwin Rebellion 100 years ago. The way I see it, since the Darwin Rebellion was successful 100 years ago here in Darwin, then it stands to reason that the same general idea might be successful across the country if done again in a modern iteration. So far, the National Strike Australia is the closest thing I've seen to date. If you are watching this video presentation from the Northern Territory, please know that the reason I've promoted the National Strike Australia is because I have inside information about how the Northern Territory government actually works. In later videos, as I get around to it and fit everything in, I will name the 8 or so people who met and made the decision to lift the moratorium on fracking and to implement vaccine mandates. I will then name the 3 other Labour Party people who were instructed to carry out the decisions made. I feel certain that this group of people are the same ones who told the Supreme Court Judge Stephen Southwood to falsify evidence when I disputed the election in the Supreme Court in the case with citation Mamozelos vs. Vatskalis and others, 2018 NTSC 57, and who allowed the Electoral Commissioner Ian Loganathan to falsify the election report in Section 7.77. To be perfectly honest, I am personally inclined towards exterminating the 8 or so people on the Communist-style committee who secretly run the Northern Territory along with their friends, because I'm extremely upset about the judge falsifying evidence against me, but for now a general strike will do. This video presentation is the spoken and authorized opinion of George Mamozelos Darwin. If you want to see other presentations like this one, please visit episodegeorge.com. Alternatively, you can search social media for Episode George, or the comedically themed Most Genius Greek Philosopher of Darwin, or the Mango Inquisition. Please know that I'm in the process of copying and transferring content to those social media pages, and so ask your forbearance. I also can't get that camera to focus. I just don't care. Have a great day, whoever you are.